Hey everyone, I'm Brendan Wilson, Director of Customer Success for Cox Edge. Just want to welcome you all to our monthly webinar series. Here we explore and highlight all things edge computing and edge cloud. And for the first time, we are inviting a guest this month. Subbu, do you want to go ahead and wave to the virtual crowd real quick? I promise you we did not coordinate colors today. It just kind of worked out. So we are already in sync and we are just getting our conversation started.
Definitely, Brendan. I would say thank you for having me on your webinar. I've seen your past episodes and I can see how it's very valuable to your audience. And I'm very thrilled, given the synergy between Zycada and Cox, I'm very thrilled to come and talk about how the combined partnership can help our customers at large benefit and get the fastest experience possible. So I'm very thrilled to have you. Regarding the color of the shirt, believe it or not, I did try to get a purple shirt. I couldn't find it. So this is the closest I could get to purple, but I'm glad in terms of, it's a good signal that we are partnering by showing that we are thinking in the same color, if you will.
Yeah, you'll have to add that to your Amazon wish list. And it's funny, we're going to be talking a little bit about, how your product helps, especially in the e-commerce space. So definitely agreed on the sentiment. So happy to have you here. Really appreciate the kind words about our webinar series. And what I'll say, is that we're, very interested in your company's technology and really just how you've approached speeding up dynamic content on the internet. So, for the technologists in the room, folks are very well attuned to a problem that was solved years ago about speeding up static content, and that's what CDNs do today. So they really optimize around network latency. But Subbu, who has waved and kind of started the introduction of himself, is CEO of Zycada. And Zycada have their own way of optimizing cloud latency for dynamic content, especially as we just mentioned Amazon in the e-commerce space, which is really, really cool. So that's why we wanted to invite Subbu here to talk to us a little bit about, an ongoing problem that they've been able to solve. So hi, Subbu, again, and welcome to our webinar series.
Likewise, Brandon. So do you think it will help if I can maybe give a little bit of introduction about the core problem we are solving, how this can complement Cox Edge, and how we would together help customers deliver the fastest experience?
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. I don't know about the folks who have joined us, but I'm definitely kind of more of a visual learner. So if you got any materials that'll help like connect the dots, I think that would be great.
Yeah. So I would first start with a quick introduction of myself. So I'm my background is I'm a computer scientist. Graph theory is my passion, and then from there on, I went and joined some amazing companies, including Cisco. I spent some time in Alcatel. These are systems that must have a 5.9 capabilities. If you're not having 5.9, it's a big problem. So availability was the core essence of those industries, and how do you have best connectivity in the world. And then followed by that, I joined Akamai, which was incredible learning experience for myself, where I literally saw what it meant to design things at scale. We were handling exabytes of traffic, and it was a brilliant way to see how they manage that amazing network and how they push all the traffic and manage it. It was a great experience. After that, I joined this company called Shape Security, and like one thing that I would say is you got to be lucky. I am very, very lucky in the sense that I worked with some of the most brilliant people on the planet, and I'm very, very thankful for that. And on Shape, I basically got the opportunity to understand how hackers launch attacks using this amazing tool called the botnet. So a botnet, for context, is you go to this dark web, you lease a botnet CDN, and it lets you customize your attack. So they will literally go to a website. They will interact with the website like a real user, and then they would understand how real users interact, and they measure how much time it takes for different transactions. Based on that, then you will understand that certain transactions have a lot more load on the origin than other transactions, and then they would craft attack on those transactions and they would use this tool called CNC, Command and Center, on this botnet, and they would launch coordinated attack to bring you down. So it's not just dumb attack, it's more evolved, sophisticated attack, and it's not done by some kid in a college for fun. These are they call this criminal enterprises. So these are well-formed institutions in the world, well-funded, and they're launching these attacks. So my thing was, hey, I saw Akamai, I'm seeing this botnet. Is there a way, like I kind of understood that botnet is far more effective in launching attacks, and I couldn't find a solution as powerful as a botnet to stop that botnet. So I thought the best way, like Star Wars, the best way to stop bots would be bots, not humans. So I was looking for, is there a white hat botnet that can fight the bad bots? And that resulted in me starting this company called Zycada with myself and my co-founders. The geeky definition of what we do is we are the world's first white hat botnet, right? But the commercial definition of what we do is we are the first app-aware edge platform in terms of the value to the customer. So what I want to do is I want to share my screen.
Awesome.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
So again, the company is backed by some of the top investors, and what we are building is the world's first app-aware edge platform. What do we mean by app-aware? We all know that the way you interact with an e-commerce application is completely different from the way you would interact with an enterprise application or gaming application, streaming application. Yet, most of the platforms were app agnostic. So they would issue services that are typical, that are generalized, I would say, like same services to all different types of apps. Zycada created this app awareness. We brought app awareness to the table where we understand how real users interact with the application and make it faster. Let me kind of dig one step further. But right before we jump into the size of the problem and why it is important to solve, let me talk about the trend. Like I would say, Brendan, if you go to Amazon.com, I go to Amazon.com, we are not going to get the same page today. That's because the application, e-commerce application, has become dynamic. So your page is scattered to where you are, what you buy, your demographic, the whole thing. And the same is applicable to me, right? We call this personalized and interactive application. All apps have moved from static to dynamic. A good example for static app that used to be would be news applications in the back in the day. But even today, I would say even news applications have become personalized, which shouldn't be, but has become that. And the same is happening in the enterprise world. With COVID, a lot of employees started working from home. And what it meant was enterprise traffic has shifted to public internet. So now the perimeter security became cloud security, which is what we call SASE, Secure Access to Service Edge. These are the two major tectonic shifts that has happened in the internet. And why is that important? The traditional CDNs are incredible when it comes to managing cache, accelerating static applications, and stuff like that. But dynamic applications, the delay is not in the CDN layer. It's actually happening in the cloud layer. So traditional CDNs are not able to attack the latency that comes because of dynamic applications. To make problems worse, cloud security, every time you add security, that's going to add a little bit of delay to the existing transaction. And all these delay, like the not accelerating dynamic content, the cloud security that's adding additional delay, all that would mean we are compromising the end user experience. So for direct-to-consumer applications, that means that we are losing their engagement. For enterprise applications, that means we are losing employee productivity. That is the main problem we are trying to solve. We are trying to see how we can help enterprises and e-commerce and other SaaS businesses leverage our technology and stop losing trillions of dollars that they're losing today by not taking care of this problem. So how are we joining hands with Cox to make this problem go away? So we understood that for you to get rid of the problem, you should ensure that you have world's best network infrastructure with world's best app awareness. Together, you can deliver the best experience for your consumers, for your users. So we started to focus on one gap that was not being solved in the CDN world, which is to accelerate dynamic content. And that's what I'm going to talk about here. So our solution is turnkey. We don't require any code changes, and it's zero risk. Our customers have confirmed that By switching to Zycada, they not only boost their availability to 5 nines, they also confirm that their key business metrics like conversion, revenue, engagement metrics, those things went up in a positive way. So how are we doing it and why are we doing it, right? So if you think about companies like Amazon, Google, Facebook, these are companies that understand that time is money and speed saves time. So they employ thousands and thousands of engineers and they optimize their site continuously. Zycada's mission is to democratize performance for all applications on the internet. So the way we attack the problem is we employ this technology called the network bots. This is our technology that basically understands how real users interact with the application, and we use that information to make the content faster in real time. And at any given point in time, instead of thousands of engineers, we are using millions, if not billions, of network bots that are continuously optimizing our customers' traffic. We are on both public and private cloud. We have very strong point of presence, and it's getting even stronger with our partnership with Cox and other critical player that we can ensure that our customers get the best experience globally.
So it's basically, it's kind of using past behavior, past usage to make, assumptions or predictions to understand that next step for the consumer so that it can proactively pull the dynamic content.
Exactly, Brandon. So we would understand that. So if you are watching YouTube, we would understand that, hey, this is how typically users would interact, not with the content, but the way you interact with the application itself. Similarly, for e-commerce, we would understand how users' journey would unfold. If you're coming from a deals page, how your journey unfolds. If you're coming from search engine, how your journey would unfold inside the application. And we use that information to make it faster. And the secret is this, though, right? If you think about all CDNs can accelerate static content. But what we did, we took one step further and we understood that dynamic content comes in all different forms and shapes and size. Like we would understand that some content changes with time constantly, we call them volatile. Some content changes with user, we call them personalized. And this is the most difficult thing, is something that changes with time and user. So we use our app awareness to understand what kind of dynamic content we are dealing with. And based on that, we would understand how to synthesize the content ahead of time so that when users ask for it, you don't have to go back to the mothership. Like for Cox, the partnership that we are actually putting in place with Cox and Zycada, the value prop would be something like this. If you have a cloud application, say that's running in Amazon, and someone is trying to access that application, they have to incur the network latency and the application latency. So if the network cost, say the network connectivity is 100 milliseconds, to run the business logic, say you're doing some search, it takes 500 milliseconds for them to get the search results ready. That's about 600 milliseconds of delay the end user must wait, right? Whereas if they use a traditional CDN, what happens is they would say, hey, we have a lot of pops, so the last mile would reduce to 20 milliseconds. But they still have to dial the traffic to the mothership, and they have to incur the application latency. The key here is they are not touching the latency that's happening or that's induced in the cloud layer, because that's a latency that's happening in the cloud, not in the CDN. So see, it's outside the scope of the CDN. What Cox and Zycada would do together, so in this case, so if you think about what would happen is once, say, the Zycada infused Cox Edge, what it would do is it would understand how real users are going to interact. And given Cox has a very, very strong network presence, we would have the best network connectivity coupled with the Zycada's proactive content readiness capability, with which we can get the content ready, which means we are not dependent on the cloud anymore. So whatever time it takes for the backend application, we would subsume that latency. So Cox plus Zycada here would deliver a 10x speed advantage compared to anyone. And don't take my words for it. I'm going to show you a live demo after this presentation. Similarly, the other advantage we have is here we would do something similar, where Cox plus Zycada would form alliance where we would ensure that if one network goes down, the other network would automatically be a failover. What that means is that the net we would have a 5.9 availability compared to traditional CDN that has 98.5% availability based on the industry metrics. And what is the benefit? We have accelerated more than 1 trillion transactions, and our customers confirmed that by switching to Zycada, they were able to show that the speed went up like 10-20x. And because of that, the top line metrics like revenue, conversion, all those went up significantly. This is for a merchant in the US, which is part of Samsung. And then we have Jen Sanson, which is a merchant on Shopify, and he saw a 16x speed up. And because of that, they saw a boost in revenue and conversion. So we are very excited about our customers who are coming on board, and by strengthening our infrastructure, by having strategic partners like Cox, I think this is going to be even better for our customers. So with that, I wanted to quickly do a demo, Brendan, and then we can actually go back to a Q&A, yeah?
Sure, yeah, that'd be great.
So what I want to do is, if I'm going to take a site that's already powered by Zycada, it's going to be blazing fast already. So I'm going to take a site that is not powered by Zycada. So in this case, I'm thinking I would go to wayfair.com. They are not a customer of Zycada right now. And then what I want to do is I want to show that let's do it let's make a small game, Brendan. Why don't you pick a site here, a product here?
Well, today I'm feeling like I have expensive taste, so maybe that one that's about 1,700 right there with the teal blue chairs.
Good choice. Something and blue seem to click, huh?
We've got a theme here.
We got a theme here, yeah. So let me go here, start this, so we can record the time. Sorry, yeah. So how much time did it take for us? It took us about 1.05 seconds. So I'm going to record it 1050. I'm converting this into milliseconds. Let's do one more, Brendan.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll go with the one on sale now.
Purple.
For 204.
Thank you.
There we go.
Yeah. So it matches Michael. All right, 933 milliseconds. Let's record that here. For some reason, when I move from tab to tab. All right, now let's see what happens if we go to the same set of sites through Zycada. So I'm going to close the tab, and right before I exit, I want you to know all these content are no store, no cache, must revalidate, which means CDNs cannot cache. You have to go back to the mothership. So what happens when it's powered by Cox and Zycada? So let me just show that. I'm just pointing that domain name to Zycada IP. I want to clear the sockets here. And here. So it basically cleared all the sockets, and we're going to go, and I'm going to open the developer console on the right. We're going to click on the same two products that we clicked. So, where is the blue product? See, this is here. See, the site changes. This is a classic example where even for the same user, the site is changing.
Yep.
So now if you go and see here, in spite of the dynamics and things that are changing, Zycada was able to get this page, same non-cacheable, no store, must revalidate. We were able to get that in 71 milliseconds. I'm going to record it as 71. Let's go to the next one. I think we chose the purple one.
Yep.
And then 109 milliseconds. So we can tell that it's easily 10x on an average when it comes to we making things faster. So with that, I'm going to yield back. So what do you think?
That is certainly impressive. I mean, you're used to, when doing kind of stairs and compares, seeing, what is it, 20, 30, maybe 40%, not the 10 times that you just shared in that demo. So a couple questions just based on some of the information that you shared. So obviously the solution is relatively new, but the problem isn't. So I'm curious just your take on what were some of those obstacles that prevented identifying a solution more quickly, knowing that there was an issue out there? And has the increase in reliance and even the availability of edge computing influenced that need or that ability to create a solution?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, we have seen this in technology time and time again. Like I feel like if you put a bunch of smart people in the room with the right set of tools at their disposal, they all would come up with a solution in the same neighborhood, right? So it's not like in this decade we are a lot smarter than we are in the last decade, just that the tools that we have at our disposal now has matured. A good example could be the very reason that we are able to accelerate dynamic content today is because we leverage on data. And the whole data-based decision making and all that was at its nascent stage last decade, has now come to a point where we can use that for critical applications, right? Mission critical applications. So now our customers see the benefit, they see the consistency in terms of how we make things faster, because we are doing a data-based technology, data-based algorithms compared to decision-based algorithms that we were using in the last decade, right? That kind of maturity and the tools that are at our disposal definitely is a tailwind in kind of coming towards this. Second thing is compute itself is getting better thanks to all the clouds that we have today, like Cox, for example. The very fact that you guys can actually enable us to put our software inside your infrastructure enables us to go and spread this a lot faster. If it was last decade, it would not be possible, right? The cost, the capital needed just to get the process started is so high that you can just move on. So I have to thank the previous generation companies that enabled us to enable the next generation companies to leverage what they've built on, and we're building on top of them, right? It's not new, just that we are adding on top of what has been built and we're putting a solution together.
Awesome. Well, that makes sense. So the other thing I saw in that slide you shared were some of the results that came from your existing clients. And a lot of those clients are recognizable, they're quite large. And when you think about large enterprises and new solutions coming into play, change isn't always quick. There's a lot of socializing, a lot of influencing that's needed to really help folks understand the true value that a solution can provide. So my question more so is around, what did these companies, move or focus on first? Because it can be a lot to absorb or try and do at once. And so what is a comfortable starting point for some of the clients that you've worked with? And what ended up maybe being the tipping point for some to really realize that, hey, this is the direction we need to go, and this will really drive the ROI that we're looking for when we're investing in a technology solution like this?
I would say the thing that kind of, and it's kind of weird that I'm even saying it this way. We felt like COVID definitely was like a catalyst in kind of helping us move forward. What happened was the retailers understood that with COVID, bulk of the revenue comes from e-commerce. So they wanted to make sure that they get the maximum out of the e-commerce store. They want to give it every single edge, no pun intended, to make sure that they deliver and they are the fastest there. So when we went to them and saying that, look, there's no investment needed from your side. Our technology is battle tested and you can test it in as little as 7 days. I think my team had a campaign that says, we make you faster in 10 days. We make you 10 times faster in 10 days. So we were able to show that in a very short amount of time with no investment, we can show you value. And only after you see the value, we would start to charge you money, right? Customers like that honesty because you look at the data, you're comfortable what you're getting at, and then you start paying. It's not like you got to sign a contract, and then only after you sign the contract, you can. We made it very customer friendly so that they can try. So we lowered the barrier to try, basically. The second thing I would say that kind of helped us would be we were, like if you think about the previous technology solutions, they were focused on security and caching, and security was becoming very big for them. So they were trying to focus on security, and performance became like this foster child that nobody was caring about. We came in and we said we are a performance first company because we know that e-commerce time is money and we want to make sure you are most performant. The third thing, and then I think the last thing is like things like search engine, they would favorably, they are biased favorably towards faster site. So by making your site faster, you're basically leveraging more free eyeballs to come to your site, which they understand it, right? So that's another added advantage they got.
Awesome. Well, I know we have about 5 minutes left, and we did receive a few questions in advance for folks who saw and registered for the discussion today. So I figured I'd go through those. If we have some time at the end, we can look and see if we have any questions in the chat. But the first question really is, and I've got it noted here. So with networks getting faster and faster each and every day, you think about 5G for wireless as well as edge cloud for fixed line broadband. Is hardware making kind of this slow dynamic content problem less important?
Very, very good question. So the things like 5G and all of that make network connectivity faster. Today, the network connectivity and the caching problem being solved by CDNs would mean that the only latency that's present today is latency that's associated with dynamic content, which has nothing to do with network connectivity, but time it takes for the content to get prepared or to get executed in the cloud. So that's the problem we are solving. So with this, what happens is net, your entire universal set of content, your static content, dynamic content, all of that would be faster. On top of we sitting with a faster underlying network like 5G and like fiber and stuff, you're going to have a blazing fast connection. What this excites us is things like Meta that we are now hearing about a lot. It's going to be possible with a technology like Zycada coupled with some awesome infrastructure companies like Cox. We're going to make that happen, and it's a very exciting time, I would say.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. So the second one is kind of around like scale and cost. So, does it get cheaper per, however the solution scales, or does the cost kind of scale in the same way? So, I think what they're attempting to ask here is more around like knowing that overall cost can go up based on usage going up. But in this case, speaking to your bot solution, does it actually get, marginally cheaper per session, per bot, per gig, or whatever the usage might look like?
Yeah, that's exactly, like a cloud taught us something which all of us can learn, which is customers want, the flexibility in how much they want to use, so pay by use. And they also want to be incentivized, where if they use more, we want to give them a better cost incentive. So we learned from the big guys, and we said yes. So the more you use us, the better the unit economics is going to be for you. So it's going to be cheaper per session, and but the speed is going to be 10x regardless. But you're going to pay less as you use more of the technology for sure.
Awesome. Okay, last one. We'll rapid fire this since we're nearing the end of our time. Is thinking about Cox Edge and Cox Edge already providing edge compute services. What additional benefits would a customer of Cox Edge get by also partnering with Zycada?
Perfect. So we actually thought about it. We kind of discussed this at large because what we want to do is we wanted to provide our customers, Cox and Zycada together. We want them to have the best solution set out there in the marketplace. Because we understand that our customers have a lot of choice and we want them to come and get the best from one place and not have multiple vendors. One thing that we now solve is you don't need to go for a CDN, you don't need to go for Zycada, you don't need to go for like 4 different things. You can come to Cox and Zycada together. And what you get is the edge compute capability of Cox, which is scalable, battle tested, with incredible network connection, with availability guarantee. You get all of that infrastructure, scalability, all of that. And with Zycada, you have a battle tested technology that's designed to accelerate dynamic content with a no-code approach. So whatever you were leveraging with Cox today, now you're going to think of that as that's going to have an amplifying function with Zycada, where we're going to leverage what you have but our bots are going to leverage your code that you've already written in Cox. What it means is that your customers are going to get a snappier response. They don't even have to wait for, say, 200, 300 milliseconds. Like you said, we want to get the response to them less than the time it takes for them to blink their eye, which is 100 milliseconds, by the way.
Awesome. Well, we are right at time, and we like to be respectful and keep it to the 30 minutes, give people a lot of robust value add content in a pretty short period of time. But I want to thank you, Subbu, for joining us and sharing more about your product. For those who have joined us, you'll see on the screen here, we've got our QR code as well as some great links we'd like you to check out. Feel free to go to Zycada's website for more in-depth demos and product information. You can also see, you can head to Cox Edge and sign up for one of our free developer trials and pretty much get access and start exploring the solution in a matter of minutes. So again, thank you, Subbu, for joining us, and thanks everyone for coming today.
Brendan, thanks a lot, and I really enjoyed your questions. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Bye.